fights to get back to the woman he loves. At its heart, The Shift is a love story. It's in a sci-fi world, but it's really about a man trying to get back to the woman he loves. And that's what draws me to it. I also apologize that I'm not enunciating very well after you yell at a bunch of 12-year-olds for an hour. Sometimes you just, you lose your tongue function. But anyway, stick around. We're going to watch the short movie to start. I'm going to give away some merch. I'm not responsible for this. We, the Shift team, along with our distribution partners, Angel Studios, we've got stuff to give away. Anybody who asks a question, any question tonight, within reason, don't be snarky. You can be snarky if you want to be snarky. If you ask a question, you'll be entered to win some merch from The Shift. And yes, we call it merch over here, okay? If you want to gift it, that's your choice. But it's merch. It's merchandise. It represents our movie, The Shift. Any question, you'll be registered or entered, or you'll be, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Not obligated. You'll be eligible. There we go. You'll be eligible to potentially win some Shift merchandise tonight. So without further ado, unless Ryan whispers something in my ear that I missed, I think that we need to get started with the short film, which is approximately 20 minutes, give or take. It's gripping, though. You'll want to stick around for this whole thing. I'll be chatting a little bit. Brock will be chatting a little bit. I'm also going to eat quick because I didn't do that. I literally came straight from football practice to do this. So let's get the short film started. Stick around. We've got a lot of great stuff tonight. Thanks so much for being here.
Molly, do you mind turning that off?
Did you pay the bills last night?
You don't even watch it. It's just noise.
Mortgage, Kevin. You said you'd take care of it.
Did I? If you're so concerned, then pay it.
You said you would.
No, you say I said I would. I'm saying a different thing.
Awesome.
I'm not just going to agree with you because it makes it easier.
That's great, Kevin. Way to take a stand. I'll call the bank and tell them that you're too...
Just turn it off!
Where were you?
Brennan. Where was I when?
The R&D meeting this morning. Early morning meeting.
Is there a memo on this?
There were two. It was an important meeting. There were donuts.
Okay. I miss donuts.
Dude, I try to cultivate an atmosphere of excellence and cool in this department. Obviously, but I am tired of your crap. If it's not the meeting, then it's the weekly reports, the residual spreadsheets.
I don't remember the memo.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. You don't remember. You know what? Just take the rest of the day off. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, you and I will discuss your future.
Hello?
Hi, honey.
Where are you?
I'm on my way home. Look, I'm sorry about this morning.
I'm out with friends. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. Did you pay the bills yet?
What do you think? I was at work, and now I'm in the car.
Hey there. You okay? You okay?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Here, drink this.
Ooh.
Drink this. You've got a nasty gash right here on...
Ow, God, please.
I had a kid, so I bandaged it up, but you seem okay otherwise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, Garner.
Satan, pleased to finally meet you.
I'm sorry, my head's still spinning. What did you say?
Satan. My name's Satan.
As in the devil?
Yes?
It's a joke, right?
Why would I joke? I mean, look at you. I wouldn't be joking at a time like this.
God, okay. I gotta go, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Whoa.
Appreciate you helping me. I really do, man. If you don't mind, just.
Hey. Just stay awake. Stay awake. Keep talking to me.
Oh, what the hell, man?
Keep talking, man. It's gonna help you stay awake.
Oh.
And we need to talk business, okay?
What business? What business?
I want to offer you a job.
I have a job.
Not for long.
Okay, Satan, if you can help me to my car, I'd feel a little bit better.
Of course.
Where's my car? Where's the accident?
There was no accident here.
What do you mean there was no accident here? How long was I out back there?
A little while. You should check your phone.
What day is it?
What's your phone say?
No, you could have messed with my phone while
December
I was
14th. Same as before your accident.
out. You just said there was no accident.
No. I said there was no accident here.
I need to see a paper.
What for?
I want to see a newspaper.
There, you see?
Buy it. Buy a paper. I want to see the ones on the inside. Don't tell me you don't have the money. Not in that suit.
We've just never had to prove it this far.
This one? You could have put that there. Who's we?
Me and you. Kevin, this isn't the first time we've done all this.
You're certifiable. I have never met you.
No, of course you haven't.
It reads the same.
Yes, this is tedious.
You tell me, where is my car and where did everybody go?
They didn't go anywhere, Kevin. You did. Are you sure you are where you think you are? I'm hungry. Let's get some dinner. I'm buying. Hey, how's old Josh doing? That work out for him? Just like I said, right? Kevin, what do you know about me?
Nothing. I don't know who you are.
Sure you do.
Two.
Yes, Tina, thank you.
Right this way.
Fine. You're Satan. Is that what you want to hear?
And what do you know about me?
What can I get for you guys?
Steak and eggs, glass of milk, tall. Kevin?
Well, just have a coffee, please.
Are you sure it's my treat?
Coffee's fine.
Kevin will have a coffee.
Okay.
You're a fiend, a crook, a liar. Your goal? Misery.
Straight out of Sunday school. You're religious then?
Yeah, sort of. I used to be.
It's different. Wouldn't you like to know how I do it all?
Do what?
Cause all this misery you're accusing me of. Although I prefer the term chaos.
You tempt people.
Basically. Let's talk about your marriage.
What about my marriage?
Molly's been cheating on you, clearly. Has been for a while.
What is this? What?
You guys haven't had a real conversation in, what, 3 years? What did you think was gonna happen? Number one cause of a broken marriage. Can you guess? Lack of communication. Misunderstanding. Misunderstandings are the reason for so much conflict in this world. I mean, wars are fought over them. Entire lucrative professions are built around fixing them. And when communication breaks down, chaos.
Steak and eggs, then a tall glass of milk.
Excellent. So prompt.
Can I get you anything else?
This is incredible. Tina, my compliments to your mother. She just keeps outdoing herself.
I'll let her know.
Please, there's so much food. Stay, join us.
No,
Stay! Eat. Good, right? This morning you had an argument with your wife about paying the bills. Did you promise to pay the bills?
I don't think so.
Two people see the same accident, but their accounts differ wildly. Why?
They each see it by their own perspective or bias.
Wrong. They both see different accidents. Each one of them sees a different accident. Both are telling the truth, and they'll never agree.
What?
There is no fiction. For every choice you make, there are countless other realities where you make different choices. And that's true for every single decision made by every person who ever lived. Choice breeds infinite possibilities. Choice breeds realities. There's not a thing you can imagine that doesn't already exist somewhere, somewhen. There is no fiction.
Parallel Earths.
So good. So good, so good when he gets it. I love this moment.
And you?
Imagine the power to move one person from one reality to the next, to swap someone out for their doppelganger from another Earth, to shift them. That's what I do.
I never talked to Molly about paying the bills.
No, you didn't. I shifted her. Replaced her with a version of your wife whose husband did, in fact, promise to pay the bills.
But why?
Just one tiny difference. Disagreement, confusion, tension, chaos.
My wife?
Shifted. It's how the world's work, Kevin.
Prove it. I don't believe you. I need to see it. Shift something.
What would you like me to shift, Kevin?
Shift her.
Sure.
Where did she go?
Somewhere else. I would have swapped her with another Tina, but you wouldn't have noticed. She's on some world where her parents never met and fell in love, where there is no Tina. Small deviations are usually best, but That's a big shift. Big shifts take people out of the game and into psych wards. Makes me sad.
I didn't mean...
Oh, don't get broken up about it. They got lots of daughters. Or they used to. Maybe it's time to find a new cafe.
What do you want from me?
Oh, Kevin, you're special. You don't even know. And I can't do this all by myself. It's a big job. A big job. On every world, I set up my power players, and they do my work.
What kind of work is that?
You know. Lie, cheat, steal, murder.
I've never hurt anybody my whole life.
No, but you have such potential. You're a halfway decent guy. It's the other half I'm particularly fond of, and it takes over in the end.
No. You don't know.
I do know. You do accept this offer. You're out there, Kevin, doing my work, and you're rewarded for it. You're a captain of industry. You're a leader. You're a Hollywood producer. You're a king. And I can provide all of those things for you, everything you ever wanted. I have 1,000 different versions of you on 1,000 different worlds doing my work. And they aren't hampered by an unfaithful spouse or an idiot supervisor who can't recognize their talents. Swear allegiance to me, Kevin. And I will lift you out of this embarrassing farce you call a life and into something glorious.
You can do that?
Just say the word. It would honestly be my pleasure.
But you're the one that made my wife disappear. You're the one that's been screwing everything up.
Don't be unfair, Kevin. You do your part too, and I can keep on doing mine. I can make your life truly, truly miserable. Or I can make you deliriously happy. The choice is yours.
But that's not who I am. I'm not like that. I wouldn't know how to be like that.
Look at what you've done already today. That poor waitress.
I didn't.
Poor Tina. That's one life destroyed. Wasn't it easy? Just say the word. You're already on the path. You might as well keep going. Let me give you everything you ever wanted. Just say the word.
Father in heaven.
Are you praying?
Last heard from you, but I'm
Really?
Here there's
This
darkness.
is amazing.
Not
Please,
too
please, I love it.
Please.
Do you really think that God will help you after what you've done? You're tainted goods. You're not even worth his effort anymore. And even if he does help you, do you think I will ever leave you alone? Ever? You can't put me off. I am relentless. I am at your heels. I know you.
And if I am
You
worthy
are
to see
nothing.
me, then I may be
Nothing.
worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
I am
Christ.
abundantly greater.
Man.
Man, so much I love about the short film, and yet it's just a tiny sample of what the feature is going to be. There is so much potential with this project. It's why I'm involved. Another reason I'm involved is because I have grown to just treasure my dear friend, Brock Heasley, the writer and director, and I want to bring him on so that I don't ramble too much. So let's welcome Brock Heasley, the writer, director of The Shift. And you can clap. You
Hey,
guys
Justin.
should be clapping right now.
No, nobody needs to clap. Come on.
Hey, you did a phenomenal job, and I have it on record that you did this for like $500, which is amazing. It's unreal that you accomplished what you did with basically no budget.
Yeah, I mean, it was $500. It was $500 at a time when I was actually out of work and not really clear on what my path in life was supposed to be. And I say $500, and I need to also acknowledge that there were a number of people who volunteered their time and their talents to make that short possible. All the actors you see on screen, everybody behind the camera as well. So they were kind and kind enough to go on this journey with me, because when I made The Shift, I really didn't know why I was making it. I had no reason for making it other than just kind of wanting to see if I could direct and wanting to see if wanted to see this story told, really just for myself, not with any ambition ever that it was going to turn into what it is now, which is now it is we're presenting it to the world, which I never thought the world would see it. And we're saying, hey, we want to make a feature film out of this thing. And that's, if you were to go back in time and tell me back in 2015 when we shot this thing that was what the destination was, I would have never believed it. It's pretty crazy.
Well, I was just going to say, now you're thanking all those people that donated their time by recasting them and pushing them aside, as a true gentleman would do, right?
Well, that's literally the worst way to put it. Thanks so much. No, but the fact of the matter is that when you're going to make a feature film, and the goal with this is to put it out on as many screens as possible, in the theaters, in the cinema. And the reason we're doing that is because when I finally, years later, sat down and wrote the feature film script that really takes off from what you just saw in that short film, that script ended up being a lot better than anybody thought, which is exactly how the short film was too. The short film was actually the first thing I ever wrote and directed, and it turned out way better than anybody thought it would be. And the script kind of ended up the same way, where this was the first feature film script that I have ever written. I've written more since then, but this was the first one, and it ended up being something that ended up just attracting a lot of attention, and the potential of this thing was seen immediately. And so that's why we're making the feature film at the level where we're going to need to bring in some people who have some name recognition. And we've done a pretty good job of that so far. We've got Liz Tabish playing Molly. We've got Patel playing Reid, who's a character who's not in the film. We've got, here we go with our graphic here. We've got Rose Reid playing Tina, the waitress. We've got Jorge Garcia playing Ramirez, another new character to the feature film. And we've got Jordan Walker-Ross playing Brendan, who's the jerk boss in the short film. So this thing has really come together in a surprising way after the short film. But I want to talk, I know there are some questions. I've seen a lot of questions come in about this short film and exactly what the intent is and what's going on. And I want to talk about that stuff. And the other thing I want to do tonight is I want to reveal something that I've never, ever talked about before. And we're going to get to that. It's a science fiction film. And the reason it's a science fiction film is because I believe that there are metaphors and allegories available in science fiction that have never been properly utilized in faith films. I mean, nobody can really think of a faith film. I mean, maybe one or two, but pretty much faith and science fiction, they don't intersect. And I think that's a shame. As a sci-fi fan and as a person of faith, I think that's a shame. What I've always say is that, we're using metaphor and allegory. That's how we're doing things with The Shift. What I never actually say is what those metaphors and allegories are. I know what they are. I know what I intend. But as the storyteller and as the artist, I prefer to leave that stuff in the background and not explain it, because I think that's better experienced and giving people something to talk about. So tonight I'm going to take the rare step, and I'm actually going to tell you one of the metaphors, one of the central metaphors of the shift. That's coming up later. But for right now, let's get to some of these questions that are already up on deck here. I know our moderators keep flashing them up on screen. Priscilla asks, why is the waitress crying and staying? Priscilla, that's a great question. Tina is staying there because she's compelled to do so. For reasons that will become clear in the feature film. One of the clues is when we first see Tina, you see her father kind of come up to her and whisper in her ear and kind of push her towards Kevin and who we're actually going to be calling the benefactor, not Satan, in the feature film. And I think that kind of becomes clear over the course of the short that she's a bit of a sacrificial lamb. And the feature film is going to explore exactly why that is, how that came to be, why all those people in the diner are freaked out, and what they're thinking and what they're going through, and why they're not resisting in any way. All of that is going to be covered in the feature film. I cannot wait for that stuff because that's some of the most exciting stuff, and I think it says a lot about what the purpose of this film is. Who is the actress?
Brock, can I just really quickly jump in and say I'm not going to say which line, but there was a line that the benefactor says in the short as he's sitting next to Tina that is a foreshadowing of something that happens in the feature. So I'm thrilled to have caught that a few times ago. But it's just one of those little things that for those of you that are on this journey from the beginning, when you see the feature, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, that was already established in the short years and years ago. So yeah, great picture, great still from the short. Okay, go ahead and answer Thomas's question. Who is the actress that plays the waitress? I think ATM means at the moment, right?
Yeah, that actress is Tina Simonian. Was her name, and she'll be and Tina I worked at a haunted house with her. So when I talked about being out of work, I worked at a haunted house right before we did the shift short film. I was kind of the house manager, and it was kind of a temporary job. I didn't make a whole lot of money doing that, but I sure had a lot of fun, and I met a lot of great actors. And Tina Simonian was one of the actors, and I named the character of Tina after Tina just because I thought that name fit the role very well. So that's thanks to her. And Tina actually is a vegetarian, and it was her birthday. Neither of which were facts that she told me at the time. So it was kind of, I felt bad afterwards knowing that we forced her to eat meat. But I didn't know I was forcing her to eat meat. It was in the script and she knew it. So, but yeah, so her name is Tina. And then of course in the feature film, she'll be played by Rose Reid. And Rose Reid is a phenomenal up and coming actress who's already led a number of films, and you should definitely check her out the first chance you get. Before I move on, do we have any other questions that we should tackle? I don't know if you all can hear my daughter is like screaming in the background. I think she's watching My Little Pony, and it's like the best thing for her. She loves it. Jen asked, so is everyone in the diner in hell? It's a great question. And it's kind of the go-to, like, oh my gosh, they must be in hell, because fact is, Jen, they're not in hell. They're not in hell at all. They are on a parallel world that Kevin has been brought to, just as the benefactor told him, when he woke up from having the accident. The benefactor said, all the people and everything from the accident, they didn't go anywhere. Kevin did. And where did he go? He went to another world, not hell. We're not going to be seeing hell, and I don't have the budget to show you hell in this feature film, and certainly not in the short film. Let's see, we have any other questions that we want to tackle before? Okay. This last question here from Tammy. Will we find out a backstory about the customers in the restaurant? Yeah, I'm going to say you're not going to necessarily find out a backstory about them as individuals, but you will come to an understanding of why they are there, why they are behaving the way that they're behaving, and what this construct is of this diner and these people and everything. There's a certain thing that's happening, and that will all be explained in the feature film. So we got something else to show you tonight, and that's test footage that we shot earlier this year to give you an idea of what the feature film is going to look like. As I said, we shot this short film with $500, and that's not a lot of money at all. And what we're going to do with the feature film is going to be so much more than that. And this test footage was created to give you an idea of how we're kind of developing the visual language of the film. And that's coming up. I'm going to get into something really, really important in a second. If you feel like this is an important film, an important story to be told, please, will you do me a favor? Will you go over to angel.com/The Shift? And will you read through the things that this film is going to be? Take a look at who's on our team. Take a look at why we're making this film. There's a lot of information on that page. And I think that there's far more there than I can tell you here. So if you're intrigued by this, please go to angel.com/The Shift, check it out. And if you feel moved, hit that Back This Project button and become a part of this thing. Become partners with us. One of the things that happens when you put something out into the world, especially a piece of art, is that a lot of people who have opinions. A lot of opinions. And look, most of what we get online is love, but we also get some haters and we get some confusion about what we're doing. And anytime you're doing a new thing, you open yourself up to that kind of confusion. This live stream right now is to try to alleviate confusion. And we're going to be taking more questions later, so keep them coming. But what I want to do right now is I want to address a very specific criticism we get, which is, first of all, we shouldn't be doing a sci-fi film. A lot of people feel that we should be doing a sci-fi film at all because God is not fictional and we should not be mixing fiction and God. And I definitely take issue with that. Some of our best stories and best ways into truth are through fiction. We love fiction. And so I don't want to address that so much, but I want to address this idea of like, this confusion that people think that we're propagating through the science fiction. Specifically, people say, Satan doesn't work that way. There are no parallel worlds. We don't shift between, none of that is real. None of that happens. This film is a lie and all of and all of that stuff. Well, first of all, we're not trying to lie to anybody. We're not trying to put one over on anybody by saying that this is science fiction. We're saying out front, and not even, we shouldn't even have to say it, honestly. Watching this film, I think it's very apparent that this is science fiction. I mean, for goodness sakes, we're talking about parallel worlds. We're talking about all these really traditional and known sci-fi concepts, especially with the Marvel Universe and everything. The idea of the multiverse is not a new one. It's something that we're all familiar with. And so what do we get from that? That's the question, is that what do we get from introducing this idea of the multiverse and leaning into the sci-fi-ness of it all? I mean, after all, the benefactor does use a device on his wrist. It's not like he's waving a magic wand or using special powers. He's got a device. It's science fiction. What do we get from that? And as I said earlier, what we get from that is metaphor and allegory. And we can express something about the human condition and about our relationship with God in a different way by utilizing science fiction, by utilizing metaphor and allegory. And look, we all understand this. We all understand how metaphor and allegory work. We've been listening to it our entire lives. If we read the Bible, we've listened to it many, many times. The parables that Christ would share, filled with metaphors, filled with allegories. The Chronicles of Narnia, same thing. Lord of the Rings. These are stories that we're all familiar with that are very much expressing faith and using metaphor and allegory and things like that. Although Tolkien would object to the word allegory. He didn't like allegories. But my point remains, metaphor and allegory are a legitimate way to express truth. So, over the weekend, I got a comment. There was a comment that came in from a woman named Deanne, and she's given me permission to share this. And her comment struck me. First of all, it struck me in my heart because Deanne's been through a lot. And I want to share that comment with you because Deanne, in her trial and in her struggle, in this one comment, demonstrated that she completely and utterly understands the metaphor that is central to the shift. And I've never explained it, and she got it like that because of what she's been through. Let me read this comment to you real fast. This is a really powerful comment, and it says so much. Deanne said, "My life shifted the day I found my daughter dead by a self-inflicted gunshot to the head. I lost my daughter. I lost my marriage because he was not compassionate to my loss and need for love to bring me through the loss. I do not recognize the person I am today. I am alone with no future of love and life ahead of me. Every day is the same. I am just existing. My mind and heart screams for hope in this mundane existence. Why doesn't God send me someone who will love me through the years ahead? Sometimes I pray to leave this world, for to be absent from the body is to be with the Lord." I am a saved child of God, but I feel I have been forsaken and shifted out of the life he promised me. Every day is a struggle to stay positive and optimistic that things will get better. I have tried to change my mindset and come out of this fog of depression, but nothing changes. I can only hope that if Satan tempted me, I would be strong enough to keep my faith, that all things work to good for those who love the Lord. Please pray for me that loneliness does not overtake me and cause me to shift from light to dark. I don't believe I will, but this mundane and lonely life makes me sad, and I ask, where is my hope? Where is my joy? What is the point of living? That's not real easy to read. That's somebody who has known is in the middle of some deep despair. And I'm happy to report that after Deanne left that comment, many people came in and comment and responded to her and showed her a lot of love. And she, subsequent to that comment, has reiterated that she does have hope and that she is working on things and working towards good resolution. I think it was a really positive experience this weekend, and I've had a little bit of conversation with her in there as well. What is so powerful to me about what Deanne said is that she connected with this short film. She connected with the concept of shifting in a way that is really, really powerful. This is what the metaphor of shifting is. Shifting, all shifting is that which happens to us that we cannot control. That's it. There are things that happen to us in this life that are bad, that come about not through any fault of our own, not because we sinned, not because we made a choice, not because we made a decision. There are things that just happen. And whether that's caused by someone else or by something else, we didn't do anything, and they happen to us. Yes, we have a choice, but there are things that happen to us that we do not choose. The shift is not about giving us all an excuse to say, oh, we're not responsible because somebody shifted us, and now, it's not about that, because we all have things that happen to us that we're not responsible for. But here's what we are responsible for. We are responsible for our response. We're responsible for how we handle what is thrown our way. That is what the shift is about. It's about that which we cannot control, and how are we going to respond to it. Deanne understood that immediately, because she has been through some real stuff, some really difficult things that I don't know that I would be able to handle as well as she has. She communicated honestly her despair. And it's people like that I believe that this film is going to be a great comfort to. I believe that it has already comforted Deanne. And I believe that there are other people out there who, when they see this film, they're going to see themselves in a way. They're going to see the metaphor perfectly because they're living it, because they're living through it. Where did this metaphor come from? Where did the shifting come from? Well, no big secret. I've been through some stuff too. Most of us have. I'm not special. In my life story, there's some violence, and there's even some murder. And those of you who have been following me for a while, you already know all about that. This is a little bit of a preview of what next week's live stream is going to be about. Next week's live stream is going to be called The Heart of the Shift. And in that live stream, I'm going to be sharing with you the shift, the one particular shift, maybe even a couple of them that have happened in my life. The thing that had happened that I could not control, that I did not ask for, that nothing I did in my life made me deserve it, but the thing that happened nonetheless. And that then I had to decide, how am I going to choose to respond to this thing? That's what next week's live stream is going to be about, the heart of the shift, where this story came from, and why I'm telling it, and why I feel so compelled to tell it. And that's what the shift is. The title of this live stream is, what exactly is the shift? And I believe I've just shared it with you. This is exactly what the shift is. The shift is a metaphor for the experience that we are all having in this life. And there are other metaphors and there are other allegories within the film. But I believe that that's the central one. And look, by sharing that with you, I'm taking a great risk. As an artist, I prefer not to explain too much. Because when you explain too much, you risk over-explaining and not letting people have their own experience. But I saw Deanne's comment, and I've seen enough comments from other people that I really felt compelled to speak to this tonight. And so I hope you'll forgive me for that. I hope that's of some benefit to those of you that are wondering about this film. I hope that doesn't all of a sudden, take the mystique and the excitement away. I'd hate for that to happen, because there is a lot more to unpack within the film. There's a lot more going on than just that one thing. That's just a nugget that I felt compelled to share. But that's what The Shift is. And on that note, I think now's a good time to watch the test footage, and I want to explain the test footage a little bit. The test footage is not a narrative. Okay, these are images, these are feelings that the feature film is going to evoke, and I think that the feeling that you're going to have, that you're going to get from this test footage, is the feeling that maybe you were just having with me just a minute ago, when I was reading Deanne's story and talking about it. It touched me in a specific way. And I believe that that feeling is evoked in the footage that you're about to see. Some people have called it depressing. I'm going to challenge you to think about it a little bit more nuanced than that, to think about it a little bit more than that, what you're about to see. Look for the light. Look for the moments in the footage you're about to see of light. And then we're going to talk about that more afterwards, because The Shift is not about darkness. It isn't. It's only about darkness in the sense that gets us to the light. Here's the Shift test footage.
Really good stuff. And again, to reiterate what you were saying beforehand, it's easy to interpret that as depressing, dystopian, no hope. But there is so much hope within that. And it is one man trying to find his wife, trying to find the light and being the light. And that's what people need to recognize about the shift. So yeah, let's get some positivity going now. Let's remind people, angel.com/the shift. If you believe in this project, want to learn more about it, you can back it there. And Megan, I'm really liking this music. My goodness. Yeah, Brock, you found a great one. Now, that song happens to get us flagged regularly on our live streams, but you have the full permission to use it. So
well, it's more a case where like the whoever the music right holders are, they're cool if we use it on Facebook and YouTube in the United States, but then like outside of the United States, they're not so cool with it. So depending on where you live, you may not be able to hear that song. But
so Kara's comment, we passed over that. We'll read Carrie's quick. Kevin stays focused even in the tragedy. Yeah, definitely. And let's bring Kara's back up there because Kara always speaks so eloquently, and I don't want to bypass that comment. Or maybe I can scroll back up and find it. There it is. Okay. So, and now I got something that's blocking it from me. I can't read it. I can read this one.
Kara says, such a beautiful picture of pain and love and selflessness and hope, seeking and finding the light in the middle of loss.
Yeah, and that's along the lines of Deanne's. Yep, Deanne's comment that she sent to you, Brock, and so many of the comments that I'm looking at on Facebook. I'm trying to watch the Facebook comments here, and that really is what it is, finding the light when you're in your darkest moments. R. Taylor says, I saw hope in all the sadness. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and not bash you over the head with some, religious undertones or anything like that. This really is just finding the light in the darkness, and take that for what it's worth. So again, angel.com/the shift. Where are we at? Let's see. Again, this isn't, I don't want to make this look like a telethon, but we're just over 700. Look at that, $704,000. So so things are going well. The live streams seem to give a little uptick. And when we're done with this live stream, please take an opportunity to share this with somebody that you think would be interested in either contributing financially, and it's not a contribution, it's an investment. You would have a stake in the shift, or somebody that just needs this light in their life right now. Feel free to share it with them. So with that, speaking of light, we got to talk about that animatic too. I mean, that, look, there's dark content in the animatic, but it's so wonderfully done. And what an animatic is just kind of, a lot of movies will do this. They'll have storyboards, and these storyboards are slightly animated. There's voiceovers. The actors from the short are doing the voiceover work in it, and it gives you a snippet of a piece of the feature film. And that, we're not going to show that tonight, but I want you to be aware of that. That is another valuable piece to give you the broad picture of what the shift feature film is going to be, is this animatic footage, which is available at angel.com/the shift. So scroll until you find that. If you haven't watched it, I highly encourage you to check that out. And when you do, reach out to us. Let us know what you thought. Tell us, tell them Justen sent you. Okay, Justen with an E. If you spell Justen with an I will know that it was a different Justen, but that's okay too. All right, let's bring on Ken Carpenter. If Ken is available, I think we need to introduce Ken again. He made an appearance on a live stream previously. Ken has already become a friend. He's a valuable piece of this entire project. So really, really happy to have him on board. So Ken, are you there? Can you hear us? Paging Ken Carpenter. Paging Ken Carpenter. There he is.
Go for
Ken.
Justen with an E. Justen, are you there?
That's right, and it's Ken with an E as well, so it's easy to remember. And we're going to change Brock's name to Breck, just so he fits
Breck.
in with this group.
Perfect. I bet the kids
So,
would have called me less of a vegetable if that had been my actual name when I was young.
Broccoli instead of broccoli.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
Ken,
yeah,
it's
that's what they really do.
wonderful. It's so great to have you joining us for the live stream. Kara, yes, so happy to see Ken Carpenter. He's a busy man. Just give us a rundown of kind of what your main focus has been these last several weeks or months with progressing towards the feature film that we want to shoot in January.
Yeah, you bet. It's probably three things that we're focusing on now, Justin. One is beginning to put the production team together, building the lineup of folks that are going to come alongside Brock to help him tell this story. The second area is, of course, casting, an area that I love, and we're making some great progress there. And then as it's sort of... it seems odd because the release of the film is a long way away, but we're already starting to lay the groundwork for how we're going to take the film to market and having a lot of those discussions and explorations now. So those are a few of the many things we're focusing on right now.
Well, and it would be foolish to try to make a movie without having a marketing plan in place. The stakes are fairly high when you're working with what is still, by Hollywood standards, a small budget, but by my standards, this is a lot of money. And we want to be obedient stewards of that money, and we want to get this film in front of a as wide of an audience as possible. So yeah, happy to be having those discussions early on, and super excited to get to do this movie probably on location in a southern state. I'm a Minnesota guy, so to get out of Minnesota in January is fabulous. Ken, are you excited to take this on location?
Oh yeah, I live in a film town, Nashville, Tennessee, and in many respects, it's a great place to make a movie. But I love to travel, and so anytime I can combine the adventure of filmmaking with my passion for traveling, that's yes, indeed, that elicits a lot of excitement for me.
So we're not in Malta or Oxford or anything like that, but Atlanta isn't too shabby either. Is there anything in particular that excites you about being down there?
Well, Atlanta is a super vibrant production community. There's so much film and television that happens there. So what that means is just pragmatically, there's all kinds of crew and gear and great locations. There's a wonderful film incentive rebate that makes our financial situation better in Georgia. And the thing that I probably like most about Atlanta is the cast that's available in Atlanta, particularly for some of our remaining supporting roles. Just with all the boom in production there, a lot of actors now make their homes in Atlanta. So we'll be able to go deep in that important area of telling the story. So yeah, Atlanta checks a lot of boxes for us.
And certainly you've been on location a number of times and probably had to tap into the local talent bases as well. Did that happen? Let's just talk about Surprised by Oxford, for instance, because that's one of your most recent projects. Did you tap into the local talent community there? Tell us about that experience out there.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Most recently in a new film called Surprised by Oxford. We had the pleasure of shooting on the campus of the University of Oxford for most of the movie, and yeah, we cast that and crewed it out of London, and had a tremendous experience working with those people. Prior to that, I made a movie in Ireland called Finding You, a romance drama, and loved working in that colorful country with colorful people. So that was great. I made a movie in Alabama a few years ago called Run the Race that was executive produced by Tim Tebow. who I just saw is executive producing the David movie for Angel Studios. But that was a high school football movie. And we took that to Alabama, which is a hotbed of high school football. And Justen, if you can imagine this, you having said you're just back from football practice, but in that movie, we got to embed our actors into actual high school football games. And at the end of the movie, we actually embedded ourselves into a University of Florida game in the swamp down in Gainesville, Florida. So, just to say, I indeed love going on location to shoot and availing ourselves to the resources there. And I'm very optimistic about taking the shift to Atlanta.
Well, I love that for so many reasons. I'm going to just admit one of my biggest peeves in any type of entertainment, feature films, sitcoms, what have you. Actors pretending to be athletes that are not athletes, and it's so evident. Seeing an actor that has never shot a basketball in his life playing the star athlete of a high school team drives me crazy. So kudos to you for putting them. What's that?
That's about as painful as it gets.
It really, really is. Hey, I want to remind everybody that if you have a question specifically for Ken Carpenter, go ahead and leave it in the comments. So many questions have been asked. It's great to see them. And remember, any question you ask, you are in consideration for winning some merch, potentially this T-shirt, not this Royals baseball cap, well, football cap, I guess, technically this time of year. But go ahead and ask those questions, and we'll ask them to Ken. I'm hijacking everything from Brock here, but I want to ask you if on the notes of casting though, true or false, Ken? True or false question? Casting can make or break a project.
Yeah, that's 100% true. No truer words were ever spoken in our arena than those you just said. Everything hinges. Not hinges on the cast. It starts Brock on the page. If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. Saying goes. And that director, he plays a small role in orchestrating what happens with the actors. But when they take the playing field and bring our characters to life, that's when the magic happens. So, yeah, big believer on the critical importance of casting a film well.
Well, and in addition to that, rounding out the production team too, what are some of the key roles from your experience that you really can't get wrong, or it could potentially sink a production? Are there key production roles that you're really focused on filling right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are, it's similar to acting where the adage is there are no small roles. The same is sort of true on the crew. If somebody makes a mistake, if we don't record the sound properly, or if there's a mistake in continuity with the wardrobe, or if the assistant camera person misses focus, or the composer doesn't deliver music that's congruous with what's happening in the film. There's so many places it can go wrong, but at least for where we sit right now, I would say that the two most important ones that we're focusing on currently are the cinematographer, the person responsible for the look of the film, the shot construction, the lighting, works so closely with the director and the producer to shape the look of the film. So that's key. And then probably the first assistant director, who is sort of the keeper of the schedule on a day in, day out basis. He's most responsible for making sure that we make our days, which is to say he goes into the day knowing how many pages of dialogue we're going to shoot, if there are company moves to new locations, when each actor needs to be in and out of hair and makeup, all those things that help us make our day. And they're usually doing that with a director or a producer asking, can we just get one more shot to tell it, to give the actor, one more shot at a great performance. but all of that happening against the backdrop of knowing that it's show meeting business, and if we don't make our day, we're going to go over, as in overtime. And it's going to have financial implications. So, long rambling way of saying that first assistant director is a key position. The good news is we've identified the person we want to use for the shift, and they're interested, and we're inching toward putting that deal in place. So those are a couple of key pieces, and the same with the cinematographer. We've identified someone that we want to use. So day by day, we're moving closer to securing them.
I love it. And I love that you also alluded to overtime there briefly, because yes, always wanting to afford one more take, as long as it doesn't push somebody into overtime, because that will kill you in a hurry. So I saw a comment from Brad Reese. DP is going to be huge on this project. Quick shout out to Brad Reese. He's the one that first introduced me to the shift. Brad is a dear friend, long history at Angel Studios. Thank you for being here, Brad.
Brad introduced a lot of people to the shift.
Yeah,
Brad was also the one who brought it to the attention of everybody at Angel Studios. He was the first one to see it, pretty much period, outside of family and friends.
He was also the first to alert me that the Timberwolves had made a trade for Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz. Big basketball fan, as I am as well. Ken, more questions may come up on the screen. However, let's kind of start to close your time, because I know you're probably actually busy tonight. The work doesn't stop. But what is it in particular that moved you to want to be a part of this project?
Wow, there's so much that attracts me to this project. But, on a story level, Justen, sure, it's fun and exciting to think about the adventure ahead of a sci-fi film. Just as a filmmaker, that's a fun canvas on which to tell a story. So it's going to be super fun. But I love that this sci-fi story is one that's so deeply human and has so much ultimately to say, alongside all the fun we're going to have in our dystopian world. But Kevin's on this dark existential journey, and he presses into the things that matter in his quest to really make his way back to Mali and the things that are most important and most truthful to him. And I think that's going to challenge us and challenge audiences. And they're going to come away from the film edified and challenged, and they'll have a lot of fun along the way. So I think that combination just makes me think we're on to something special.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the challenge in particular is one of the things that excites me so much, because sci-fi isn't my world necessarily. And so, Brock, you're going to have grace with Ken and me as we start to, get more into this dystopian world that you've, and I don't want to call it a dystopian world either, because that has a level of bleakness to it. There is hope at the end of the shift. There's hope throughout. And we get to see that light towards the end. So, go ahead and flash up some of those questions. Brock, why don't you start to read some of these questions for Ken so people don't get tired of my voice if they haven't already?
Sure. Becky asks, Ken, what are your thoughts on actors or actresses being spontaneous, not following the script at times?
Yeah, that's a great question. And back to that assistant director, if he's or she is doing their job well and we're making our day, and Brock and I, weren't we talking about this earlier today, Brock, in reference to somebody that we're considering? I think it was the idea that, let's get in the can what's on the page, and then let's let them riff.
Oh, yeah.
Let them go and discover what hidden gems might be beyond just what's on the page. And every set of circumstances are different. Not every director affords that opportunity for actors. But I'm glad to know Brock is inclined that way. And I'm a big believer in letting actors go deep and unfold, and yes, spontaneously deliver something once we've got what's on the page. And the time remaining, we can have some fun.
Yeah. Meg asks, will you be filming everything in the Atlanta area instead of Fresno?
At present, that is the plan.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it.
Fluid, but right now it looks like we'll shoot the film in its entirety in Atlanta.
Yeah. Aaron asks, Ken, what is the planned time to produce, beginning to end, The Shift?
Well, who asked that?
His name is Aaron.
Aaron, we anticipate that we will shoot for 5 or 6 weeks, and we're already in a pre-production now, so it's a long haul, but we're gearing up, and then we'll shoot, and then we'll edit, and a year from now, hopefully we'll be ready to go to market.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Ken, for joining us tonight. That was the awkward pause, similar to the 10-minute goodbye up here in Minnesota, because we start our cars and then we have to say goodbye for 10 minutes while they warm up so that we don't die when we get in them in January. By the way, Ken, I'm moving to Nashville. I need to move to Nashville. Find me a place down there to get into. I would just say, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Ken, any closing comments for you before we say goodnight to you?
Only that I am just really excited about the opportunity before us, and very pleased with the team that's being built in every position. And God willing, I think we've got a great adventure ahead, and very honored to be alongside Brock, who I think has shaped an incredible story and has the storytelling sensibilities to execute it at a real high level. And I appreciate people that have come alongside us thus far, and look forward to the road ahead.
Hear, hear. Well, have a wonderful night, Ken. We will talk to you in-house very, very soon. Fans watching right now, you'll hear from Ken sporadically throughout. We're not going to keep him away from you for long. We love having him on these live streams every chance that we get. So thank you, Ken, for being here tonight. Enjoy your evening.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Ken. Justen, can we talk about your hand for a minute?
My hand?
What is going on with your hand? Like, it's your right hand. Show us your right hand. Okay. Oh, okay. It must be a light. It looked like it was blue. Like, maybe it was just where you were holding it. This bit serves no purpose now.
Hey, if you weren't here live, you would have missed that wonderful moment there of spontaneity and humor. I thought you were talking about my other hand, because I took a power washer and actually removed a little bit of skin from my thumb here because I was holding something while I was trying to wash it off. Power washers are powerful, and it literally took the skin. I'm not going to show it. Took the skin off my finger. And then I was using my chop saw the other day because I'm refinishing or redoing my kitchen. There's always stuff to do. And a little kickback, and the wood kind of cut me in 2 places. So I thought you were talking about that, and then I felt really, really bad and self-conscious that I was showing my gore on camera. Yes. So, all right, you know what? Thank you guys for hanging out this long. A reminder: angel.com/theshift is where you can see the animatic, where you can meet more of the team that Ken was alluding to, including Dallas Jenkins, creator of the Chosen. My goodness, those terms just kind of go back and forth with me so easily. And of course, you can invest in this project and help bring it to life, help bring it to a big screen, like Ken said, within a year. I mean, hopefully in about a year, give or take. Now, we're not making any promises, but we're projecting to shoot this starting in January 2023. And if that goes as planned, our intention is to release it Q4 2023. Right, Brock?
That's what we're aiming for. Yeah. I think there's a decent shot that we can hit that. We'll know a lot better once we're past production. But with this, I know we're running a little late, but I know there have been so many questions, and I'm wondering if we just have time maybe to take a couple of them. What do you think, Justen? Are you up for it?
I'm up for it for sure. Yeah, I mean, we still got a few people watching. If you need to, check out for the night, we completely understand that. But we want to be here to answer questions. And also, I don't know if we're revealing our merch winners tonight or if our live stream team is going to reach out to them afterwards. So Ryan,
no, we're gonna
or Brock, you may.
Yeah, we'll reveal them right now in just a minute. Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them revealed in a minute. Isabel asks, when are you revealing more cast? So there was a chance that we were going to reveal some more cast tonight. Obviously, that did not happen. What that means is there's a better chance we'll reveal some next week for our live stream on Monday. Same time as tonight on Monday. I'm hoping that'll happen. It's one of those things where we have discussions that are ongoing and we're closing with some actors, but there's so many different factors that go into when you close an actor, when you finally secure them. I'm hopeful we can announce some next week. So that's about all I can say about that.
We're not holding anything back from you, we promise.
No, we're not. As soon as we've got it, we're gonna tell you. But we can't reveal until it's closed, for obvious reasons. Gene asks, will there be a comic book made about The Shift? Well, Gene, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge fan of comics. I've even written my own comic, and anyway, I got a shelf full of them. So I love comics. There are no plans right now for a Shift comic book. I think if we ever made a Shift comic book, we would then be subject to me and my very high standards on what constitutes a comic book. And so that would be something we'd really have to put a lot of time and energy into. And right now, all of our time and energy is into making this movie. But would I love to see an adaptation or a graphic novel of The Shift? Heck yeah, that'd be so much fun. But no plans for that right now.
I'll tell you what, Gene, if you haven't seen the animatic, that's like a comic book come to life. So go to angel.com/The Shift. Make sure you watch that animatic. That has a very distinct comic book feel to it. Jim asks, how many actors in the whole movie? My goodness, you can't possibly know this off the top of your head, can you, Brock?
No, I have no idea. I haven't actually counted. And I think probably the safest way to look at that is like actors who are featured or have speaking roles. I'm gonna ballpark it. I think it's between 35 and 40 total. But I mean, you're talking about some really, really tiny parts there. I can tell you the number that of the supporting and main cast, I think, is around 10 to 12 significant parts that I would list that way. But yeah. I mean, it's a movie. It's a movie. We're gonna have people. It's not a cast of thousands, but we're gonna have a good population on this film. And there are a couple of scenes where we're gonna need a really decent population, where we need a lot of extras. And of course, there are some people who are investing right now at the $5,000 level, I believe. And they're getting that perk, that opportunity, that guaranteed opportunity to come and join us on set. So that's pretty fun. I can't wait for that. That day's going to be really special when we have some of our investors come and visit us. I can't wait for that.
Oh, for sure. And just to clarify, guaranteed opportunity, that doesn't mean guaranteed you're going to be an extra. It means the opportunity, the invitation is going to be sent to you for certain. Now, we can't shift our schedule around for you. So if your date that you're invited to be an extra on the shift doesn't work with your work schedule or what have you, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room we have for that. So I just want to be perfectly clear that
Right.
the
Zero wiggle room.
opportunity, the invitation will be there. That much is for certain if you invest at that $5,000 level at angel.com/the shift. But we're not guaranteeing you're going to be an extra. And even when you're on set that day, we're not guaranteeing that camera is going to zoom in on your face or anything like that. But as experience has taught me with some of the times we did this with The Chosen, clearly the feeding of the 5,000 and the Sermon on the Mount come to mind, where those were gigantic extras scenes. We don't have anything quite to that scale, but we'll have little pockets of opportunities, and those are a lot of fun. I loved those days on the set of The Chosen to meet people. And Grace, who certainly Grace, we've been in touch for a long time. Back to The Chosen days, you were asking, will there be an opportunity to be an extra? So hopefully we answered that question for you. Angel.com/the shift. Definitely, if that's something that you're led to do, we would love to have your investment at that level and welcome you with open arms on set, as long as COVID rules allow us to open our arms and hug.
We got a question here from Becky. She says, oh, crap, I just had a thing cover up.
Yeah, confident the shift will be a huge hit. Would you be open to a sequel?
A sequel? Well, I gotta say, I don't think the story lends itself entirely to a sequel in a traditional sense. I think we pretty much close out the story at the end. I will say, I don't want to say too much here. I will say that I have something in mind. I have another story within the Shift universe that I would love to tell at some point in some fashion. I wouldn't describe it as a sequel. I also wouldn't describe it as a prequel. And make of that puzzle what you will. But all of which is to say, I think there is potential for the Shift beyond this story. But look, I mean, we got to get this one done, and then we can think about that. But yeah, my storyteller brain's always going. So I have other stories I think we could tell. And I think one of the strengths of the Shift is that it is a pretty rich concept and a rich world that could lend itself to so many stories, and so many more stories are hinted at. One of the things you'll find as you watch the feature film, and I think some of this is true even of the short film, when people ask about the patrons in the diner, they're getting a sense that there's other stories that are told, other stories that feed into this story, epic stories even, that are only hinted at, that will suggest, but that we won't necessarily be telling within the body of the feature film. And I think those represent perhaps some opportunities. There is there's a particular plot hole actually within the short film that basically no one has ever identified, that I have a very, very big story to tell to fill that. It's not really a plot hole at all. I know why it is the way that it is. And I would love to tell that story. So anyway, long answer to your question, Becky. I don't know. I'm open to it. Sure, I'm open to it, but I'm open to something that isn't a sequel at all as well.
That was a total nerdy answer, Brock. You do realize that, right?
Yes, it was. It was totally nerdy. Look, I have to be nerdy
I love it, though.
to do this film. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
No, I love it. Look, I'm a nerd, too. I mean, I literally have my computer resting on a designer board game box. Brock and I have discussed this before. We want to get together and play some of these deep strategy board games together. So we're gonna stretch the production schedule out as long as we can and try to build in a couple board game days. So yeah, all right, guys. Everybody that's here with us.
Last question.
Thank you so much for joining, and we've got another question. But I love seeing all the comments going off in the chat. I love people communicating with each other. You're replying to each other. I mean, that builds this sense of togetherness, and that to me is one of the big values in having these live streams and having you join us live. So thank you so much for being here. And we're going to close it out with now a closing question. Oh, I'm so glad that this one was brought up, because I saw this one earlier and tried to actually type the answer to it quick. But Brock, you will give a better answer than I could with my fingers with your mouth.
Amy asks, what will the rating be? Family friendly? Language and violence? Just wondering. And it's a great question, Amy. I anticipate a PG-13 rating. But look, as far as language goes, you're not going to see anything more than what you hear. You're not going to hear anything more than what you hear in the short film. That's literally the limit of the language that you will hear. There's not going to be any sex. And there's not going to be any graphic violence. So where is the PG-13 going to come from? I think it's going to come from just the seriousness and the world that we're building. And yes, there is some violence. We're not going to have blood spraying or anything like that. I'm not interested in that. But I think just because this is kind of a heavy subject matter and dystopian world and all that, and because of the violence we do have, I anticipate a PG-13. I believe it's going to be a very family-friendly PG-13. I'm certainly very willing to show it to my 11-year-old, and even if she were younger, I would show it to her as well. But I know some people, they make different choices. They don't want their kids watching anything more than a PG. But I think, to be honest, I have to say PG-13 just because it's adult, serious subject matter. Amy, by the way, is also the winner of our contest. So Amy, congratulations. You are the winner. Amy Chase Mann is the winner, and she is going to get some free merch tonight. Amy, this is how you collect your prize. I need you to message us in a DM, either on Instagram or on Facebook, and just let us know that you're Amy and you're the one who won, and we'll collect your information from there.
Congratulations, Amy, and thank you again, everybody, for being here. One last mention of angel.com/The Shift. I'm assuming that most watching right now, you've probably already visited the website at some point or another. So now the next challenge is to invite other people to get on board with this, because this train is starting to really rev its engine. It's starting to go downhill. It's been, my goodness, Brock, we'll talk about this more next week. I don't want to spoil it. It's been a lot of uphill for you. Now we're finally getting to the point where that roller coaster is almost ready to start going down, and I'm so excited to hear a little bit more of what the journey has been like for you. I've heard your story many times. I'm also going to admit right now that next week I will cry. I will, at the very least, get quite teary-eyed, because this story is so impactful, and Brock has an incredible story, and he handles it with such grace and such godliness that I'm just in awe of it every time that I hear it. So you do not want to miss next week's live stream, and invite friends to it. The Heart of the Shift is going to be a very moving live stream, and I'm excited for it and also terrified of it.
Yeah, and please don't forget that this investment opportunity, it is not going to be here for very long. It is going to be over before you know it. And we get so many messages after we close these things, because we've done this a few times before. We get so many messages from people who say, man, I missed it. I wish I had gotten in. There's nothing we can do. We can't extend it. When it's over, it's over. You can go to angel.com/The Shift, and you can see the details on that, on when that will be and what the time limit is. I encourage you to take action now. Don't wait until the last minute. If this is something you think you want to do, come in now. Be a part of this thing. We have said many times that we're shooting in January. I don't anticipate ever having another round. I really don't see that. I think that seems like the remotest possibility to me at this point. We are barreling towards shooting this film. I do not believe, I can't say with certainty, because who the heck knows what's going to happen in the future, but with all the certainty I can have without knowing the future, I would say this is it. This is your chance.
And on that note, thank you guys again so much for being here. Like, share, comment, and just be a light. Be a light out there. We're trying to be a light for you, and have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Praying my unworthiness save me, that I may be worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
Christ.
Think of a science fiction film that acknowledges the existence of God. It's not easy. What you've just seen is part of The Shift, a sci-fi short film about a man of faith who encounters a mysterious stranger with otherworldly powers.
We're turning The Shift into a full-length feature film, which excites me for a number of reasons. And the biggest reason is the opportunity to show the love of God in the kind of story where we don't usually find him.
A story of faith this big belongs on a big screen to reach the broadest possible audience. You can be a part of making this film a reality by investing now at angel.com/theshift. The Shift is about Kevin, a man who's like me, and I think like a lot of us, he has faith, but he's hardly perfect. His marriage is on the rocks, he's about to lose his job, and he's not completely sure he's even a very good person. And then he meets the devil himself, pushes him back through prayer, and gets banished to a tyrannical parallel Earth where he fights to get back to the woman he loves.
Brock has crafted a truly unique sci-fi world, and within it we're asking questions, big questions, tough questions, like how can a loving God allow suffering? And where is he when we're in our darkest moments?
The Shift is very much inspired by the story of Job, a person who was seemingly abandoned by God and then severely tested.
Just like Job, and all of us really, Kevin has the decision to make every day. Trust in the goodness of God or cave to the hardships of the world around him. Can you relate? I know I can.
Science fiction is the most popular genre of film at the box office and my personal favorite. But most sci-fi films take place in a world where God does not exist. If you were Matthew McConaughey about to head into a black hole, wouldn't you pray? I would. But in Interstellar, he doesn't do that. I believe representation is important. We should see ourselves in our stories and in our heroes. But as a believer, I don't see myself in my favorite films.
I've actually never really been a huge sci-fi fan, but reading the feature script for The Shift starting to change that in me. It's grounded in such humanity and raw human emotion. And combining those elements in a sci-fi world, to me, is a brilliant way of reaching a whole new audience that wouldn't otherwise be interested in watching a story with such strong faith elements. If you're like me and you want to see a wider variety of faith films, you can help make it happen by investing now at angel.com/theshift. The Shift will be distributed by Angel Studios, the same studio that brought you The Chosen, which I happened to work on as a producer. It's a show about Jesus and his disciples, and it's generated about 500 million views and over $100 million in revenue.
To tell a story as important and ambitious as The Shift requires a talented team, and we've got some real all-stars, including Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen.
I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift, and I want to see more, and I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level.
It was an honor to be an early part of The Chosen team and help build it into what it is today. And I look forward to working closely with Brock to ensure that The Shift reaches that same level of excellence. And the only way to do that is to build the correct team.
We've already brought on veteran producer Ken Carpenter with his more than 3 decades of experience, and of course our composers, multiple Grammy winner Dan Hasseltine and Matthew S. Nelson.
The wonderfully talented composers of The Chosen.
Ooh. Probably open, do you think?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. Ooh.
The Shift short film was made for very little money at a time when I was out of work and confused and struggling to find God's path for me. But I also knew he will often use the dark times to show us the light. That's Kevin's story, and that's my story with The Shift as well. I made the film in faith, not knowing why, and then he showed me the way.
I'm blown away by what Brock was able to do with a tiny crew and a tiny budget. And I'm actually a little giddy about turning that short into a feature with an actual budget. But really what I'm most excited about is reaching a whole new audience with a story that brings light into the world in a smart and unique way. And that's what we need more of.
Join us in telling this exciting sci-fi story of hope and faith and love by investing now at angel.com/theshift.